Today we're going to discuss Entreprenetics, the psychology of the entrepreneur mind, and in particular we'll talk about trusting your instinct. When I played soccer, I was an instinctive player. I used to dribble around players, and you know what? Sometimes I didn't even know how I did it. In fact, if you asked me, hey, how did you go around this person or a couple of players, I'd go, I don't know, I just did it. And looking back, there's instances where literally I could not even remember how I went through 3 or 4 players. Obviously, dribbling was one of my specialties. When you think about instincts, they're very powerful because instincts themselves, if you apply them correctly in business, can create huge hits. In fact, they're the kind of hits that could create disruption in your industry. I was watching a Bloomberg show inside Pixar, and one of the things that they talked about was creating super hits. And Carol Massar asked John Lasseter, the chief creative officer, if he knew whether the Toy Story was going to be a hit. And John Lasseter came back with a really cool answer. He said, we knew we had something special, but we did not know whether we had a hit or not. But we trusted our instinct, and we created the kind of films we wanted to create. That was such a cool answer because a lot of times you think about business and innovation, you think about there's a lot of rigorous analysis involved in it, and there is. But at the end of the day, it does come down to instincts. And you know what? Their instincts served them right. Pixar created Toy Story, and I'm a big fan of Toy Story. That first film generated about $358 million in the theater, which was a 12x return. So if you want to be inspired in terms of using your instincts, just look at Pixar. I mean, overall, Pixar has created, I think, about 13 films, and they made about $7.1 billion over those 13 films. And when you look at instincts, I kind of thought about it even from a sports perspective. For instance, if you asked Dr. J how he practiced a lot about in regards to the fundamentals of the game. And I can tell you that when our father used to teach us how to play soccer, we went hours and hours and hours over and over the fundamentals of the game, the kicking, the dribbling, the running, and so on. So when I think about instincts, whether it's sports or business, I kind of think about it in terms of fundamentals. If you continue to repeat certain aspects of your whatever process it is, whether it's dribbling or playing soccer or animation or even selling, marketing, whatever the functional process, if you focus on the fundamentals and you repeat them over and over again, you're going to get much better. But one of the things I learned from my dad and also being in business myself is that fundamentals coupled with nuance is something that creates super hits. It's something that creates magic. And when I talk about nuances, I'll give you a perfect example. And actually I talk about this, one of the upcoming books that I wrote called Soccerpreneur, everything you want to know about life or business you can learn on the soccer field. And I talk about how our father used to teach us how to snap the ball. So from one perspective, the fundamental of passing in soccer or passing in basketball is pretty basic, and you want to practice it over and over, but it's the quickness, the snap, that makes a difference. So for instance, even today when I go on a soccer field, I can literally snap the ball without winding my foot back, and it goes really fast. And that's the nuance component of the fundamentals. So whether it's sports or business, if you truly go over the fundamentals, okay, then and you add the nuance component, those little slight differences, they can elevate your performance to another level. Those are the kind of things that can make you magical. Those are the kind of things that can enable you to create super hits like Pixar's Toy Story as an example. And so whatever you're doing from a business perspective, you can use the analogies from sports, but most of all, you can use the analogies from Pixar. I can tell you that the first time I saw Toy Story, it was such a magical moment for me because I realized how far computer animation has gone. And what I got excited about is I saw the opportunities where computers coupled with art can create an incredible amount of nuance, the kind of nuance that creates super hits like Toy Story. So don't forget, focus on the fundamentals, focus on the nuance, but fundamentals and nuance combined together create the super hits. Until next time.